I didn't know you had an AK. Hey, you had an AK.
Drag.
Yeah. I did the cheeky breaky you're supposed to do you didn't, so I thought, that's a pretty cool AK. Don't mind if I do. This is awesome.
Probably not, but I mean, I think with the appropriate documentation, we could probably get them sorted out from a benefits perspective.
That's pretty good. Oh, hey guys, how you doing today? Today we're going to be talking about a very interesting firearm, and I think one that is fairly misunderstood. This is the Draco. Maybe you've heard about it in rap songs, maybe you've seen it misrepresented in multiple different ways, but it's actually a fairly well-priced, I think, good AK. And we're going to talk about why that is. We're going to disprove a lot of things when it comes to this guy, and I cannot wait. We do have our friends from Medical here, and we'll talk more about them in a little bit. And they're going to be helping us and proving that they can actually shoot guns. And we're having a good time. And Micah, obviously, just had that baby, so we got Josh here. The biggest sponsor of the channel is the Sonoran Desert Institute. No Charlie to mess me up this time. He is currently moving here. But the Sonoran Desert Institute is awesome. If you're looking to get your start in gunsmithing, they are the people to go to. We absolutely love them. And go and give them some love. They often make guns just as cursed as this guy right here, which we'll talk about in a minute. So, big thank you to the SDI, but of course cannot forget about Primary Arms. We absolutely love their optics. We actually just did the 8.6 video with the 1-8 that they make that's compact, and that thing is incredible. So go and check them out. They sell way more than just that. We love them, and they include possibly a free piece of candy. Maybe if you ask politely, don't destroy their customer service. And of course, we cannot forget our favorite friends who are Mantis. If you guys are doing any type of dry fire, you do some dry fire, right, Josh? You should be doing dry fire.
Shoot a little dry.
If you want to become a better shooter, dry fire is going to be extremely important. All your professionals are going to be doing it. So Mantis just makes it a lot better. Turns your AR-15, whatever you have, into a dry fire machine. You can have programs that link in with it, and you're just going to know precisely where your shot is going for the laser. It is awesome. I use it very heavily. I repeatedly shoot my TV, of course, after making sure that I have the Mantis, and you don't want to shoot your TV. But go check out Mantis. A big thank you to them. And of course, unlike the camera that this is filmed on, or the phone that you're watching this on, AAC Ammunition is made in the US of A. So go and check them out, and they are absolutely incredible. And of course, the sponsor for this particular video is going to be Medical. Sometimes like you're kind of personally linked to this stuff, so I definitely am. Obviously, they are sponsoring it. That being said, I've had a lot of friends who have been screwed over by the VA disability claims process. They are a company that can support vets, and we'll let them talk more about it, but I'm very passionate about that issue. I won't take their steam from them, but they are incredible. So we do have them here today because obviously if they can't shoot guns, then we don't want them on the channel, so they're gonna prove their worth to us right now, and they're very nervously nodding right now. So with that being said, guys, talk is cheap and ammunition is what, Josh? Expensive. It's expensive, John. You're doing great. All right, okay, you guys are gonna have to suffer through my helmet hair a little bit, but let's dispel a lot of the myths around the Draco before we kind of get going. We're gonna do a lot of drills, a lot of tests with this. So first off, this is obviously an AK variant, and it's specifically from Romania. Romanians, if you don't know, are actually quite good at building AKs. They've been doing it for a long time. In some cases, kind of opposed to Russia. There's actually kind of an interesting history there. But in any case, this is very close to the PMMD-90CU, which was essentially, obviously, a shortened full-length AK. This is a 12-inch model, and it was mostly intended for tank crews and, of course, special forces. Now, in the one that's imported, it's very close. Obviously, this one is heavily outfitted and kitted out a little bit differently from what you typically get. We'll throw a photo in of what a Draco typically looks like when you get it. But it doesn't take a lot of tinkering to get something like this, where you have a very, very effective rifle. So, with all that being said, let's talk about the first myth about the Draco, and that is that it's a very uncontrollable rifle. Now, I do want to point out a couple things. I did have a bet with Micah and Charlie. I lost that bet, and I was forced to review this with this freaking break on here. This is a DTK-2 from Zenitco, and it is, what's the word for it? It turns off recoil. It what?
Motherfucking loud.
It's loud as hell, and it just turns off recoil. So even without it, it is a very controllable weapon, but you can see with a muzzle device or something that works well, you're gonna get a fairly good weapon. So now getting into the drills, we do have the distinct honor of having the Reed Medical guys here. You're very tall.
It happens.
So go ahead and introduce yourselves. Quick little spiel. Tell me about Reed Medical.
Yeah, so my name is MJ. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer with Reed Medical, and what we focus on is providing support to veterans in the form of robust medical evidence, the evidence that they need to make the difference in their claims. I'm here with my colleague Ian. Ian actually served our country.
I had a fun 9 years as an infantry officer. Now I'm the ops guy in the IT department at Reed.
Oh, okay. Good to know, sir. First thing we're going to do to show controllability is going to be the build drill. That is 6 rounds in under 2 seconds. It's going to be our deal. If Reed Medical can't shoot, then, you know, we'll just make fun of them, basically. Especially the officer. Mostly the officer. MJ, you're fine. You get a pass, dude.
Yeah, civilian. Shooter, are you ready?
Yep.
Do you understand the drill?
Yep.
Stand by. Up.
Nice, that felt good. Felt very nice. It's a very controllable AK with that brake. Even without the brake, it does a great job. The fireball is immense. Now you'd think that the Russians wouldn't use that, but that's some Russia shit right there, because they do use it. Is it difficult to breathe at the
Altitude,
yeah.
It's a little thin, but you get used to it.
That's what I figured. All right, shooter units at the course fire.
Yes, I do.
Stand by. Up. 6 rounds.
Bruh. Yeah, I might need a do-over.
Shooter, you ready? Stand by.
Ready.
Up. Nice. All right, let's go ahead and safety up. 4 in here, and then that was an earlier drill when we were running it. So we got 4 in the A zone, and then we got 2 in the neck. I mean, he's dead, and the neck is a good place to shoot.
I mean, if you had a taller target, it'd be easier for me.
It is a little bit more difficult because he is aiming at an angle. I will give it to him. All right, next up we got Sir. Shooter, do you understand the course of fire? All right, you can go ahead and start aiming at the feet of the target. Stand by. Up. Nice. Okay, go ahead and safety up. All right, so we got mostly shooting him close to the penis, which is unfortunate for him. Pretty sure that's a pretty bad disability claim. But I will say 6 rounds, pretty good, and we were combat effective. I'll give it to you, sir. Not bad at all. So this is clear ballistic gelatin. It behaves a little bit different than the organic gelatin. We're gonna get pretty good results. You have to understand that this is probably best compared with previous tests that we've done. Every gel block, especially when it comes to the clear, is gonna be slightly different from the organic stuff that you've seen. But we're gonna see good performance and see how this round will behave out of a 12-inch barrel. This is mostly a closer quarters weapon, so I'm interested to see how it performs. We have 7.62 by 39, 123 grain from probably somewhere in Russia, and not sure if this is what they expected it to be used for. Anyhow, first ballistic gelatin, going hot. Did you see that mist come out of there? That was crazy. Okay, let's take a look at this. Good God, dude. Okay, take a look at that from the top. Can you see into that? When we're talking what you want to see from a projectile, you can see that it entered, was stable for about the first 6 inches before it began to tumble. And the expansion was so intense that as the gel is going to expand, as it contracts, oxygen is very flammable. So it's going to combust that's why we have that little explosive residue in there. As you can see after that, it continued to then fragment and tumble. before exiting. That is, I know we say it a lot, that 7.62 by 39 is like a lethal little round, but like, that is some serious, that's some serious stuff right there. It always blows me away how effective that is.
You're not getting up from that.
No, I'm not a medical professional, but I did quit med school, so pretty close.
Yeah, you're like almost a doctor. That's a thing, right?
That's a thing. Yeah. So a lot of people say that the Draco, being a short-barreled weapon, is not effective. I think probably out of all the SBR rounds, a 7.62 by 39 is one of the best. And if there's not good proof right here, then I don't know what to tell you. But we've talked about a lot of things on the Draco, but one thing we haven't talked about is distance shooting. How does it do at distance?
Amazing.
All right, let's go check it out. Okay, so we're gonna be shooting at about 250 yards and proving that the AK definitely has a dog in him. What's gonna be really cool is you can hear the delay. 7.62 by 39 out of a short barrel is not that fast. It's about 2,000, 2,100. So let's go, let's get this rocking. You guys ready? Isn't that wild, that sound delay? It kills me every time. All right, MJ, you're up. Impact. 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 Just low left. So obviously this video is sponsored by Remedical. Talked about this before, but this is really important to me. Luckily for me, my process went pretty well, but I've had multiple buddies who have just been really screwed over by the VA disability process. So I think what you guys are doing really important, and I guess a lot of my fans have also used you guys before, so I don't want to pump you guys too much. I'll let you guys do it, but it is kind of personally, it definitely hits me.
Yeah, so I think the most important thing for the folks out there who are going through this process or thinking about going through this process is making sure you have your ducks in a row, and that really comes down to documentation. There's a lot of best practices out there, there's a lot of really good information, but the thing that really makes a difference is having really robust medical evidence, and that's what we specialize in. Ian, do you want to talk about your experience?
What I want to bring up is awareness. I haven't gone through the process myself. I had a lot of buddies that have gotten out, just like Mike. Didn't know what to expect, didn't know the options that were available to me, didn't know the differences between them. So I think that's why we're out here today, to a certain extent, just to offer ourselves as an option. I think it's a good one for everybody.
For those of you guys who've been through it, you have an initial rating, and that initial rating is anywhere from 0 to 100 in increments of 10. And getting the rating that you deserve really boils down to having robust medical evidence. Not a lot of people realize this, but effectively tie goes to the runner, right? So if you've got a situation where there's a contradiction between the VA exam and your private medical evidence, the higher of is what you get. And so it's always a good idea to have your own private medical evidence. It's often the difference between going through this process multiple rounds and getting it done first time. There's a lot of folks out there who have buddies that have been through worse, and they don't feel that they deserve necessarily that rating, but the reality is our contract with our soldiers is we broke you, we got to pay for it, right? And that's what Ree's here to help you do.
So how can my my guys find you?
Remedical.com. Use REE. And please use the promotional code GRAND to get a discount. All of our Garand Thumb viewers want to make sure we sort you out.
Well, I can't say I'm super excited to have you guys out here that you guys can talk about it, and it's also fun to make you guys run through drills, especially SURF, because I really enjoyed that one quite a bit. So guys, with all that being said, let's go ahead and get back to the video. A big thank you to Remedical. Here we go. All right, so we've done a lot of talk on the Draco at this point. There are obviously different models. We're gonna be talking about the 12-inch model, but I would say we've dispelled a lot of the myths that come around the Draco. So with all that being said, I want to talk a lot about, this is what I love. I love nerding out about this stuff. I want to talk a lot about what makes it so good. So we're gonna do what my Navy guys love, and we're gonna go tip to butt, and we're gonna talk about what makes this weapon exceptional. So obviously, screw Micah and Charlie, but the first thing that we have at the very tip here, this is what turns it in from the Draco to the Braco, right, is going to be the DTK-2. That is a muzzle device from Zenico. I want to be clear that this is not the the only muzzle device that is like this. This is very common with a lot of Slavic and specifically Russian special operations units because it obviously very much so tames the recoil. Now, as you can see, even in the daylight, we were getting some pretty serious fireballs off this thing. So it is very uncomfortable to be around, and it's definitely going to telegraph your position, but it all depends on the type of work that you're doing. If you're doing a lot of room clearing, then certainly you're going to tame the weapon. It doesn't matter as much. That being said, for your buddies who are going to be next to you, they're going to be eating that blast, and it's definitely going to suck. Now, from the muzzle device, I want to talk about the first really good thing about the Draco, and that is going to be the barrel. So the barrel is 12 inches, but what makes it pretty exceptional, it is Romanian made and it is cold hammer forged and chrome lined. So the cold hammer forging is typically used for a lot of different types of machine guns. It is denser than a lot of your typical barrel steels. It is not the most accurate, but for a combat weapon, it is often a very good choice. And in the case of the Draco right here, I think is exceptional in adding to both the reliability of the weapon in terms of the barrel life, as well as just being a very tough piece to add in there. So much of a gun revolves around the barrel, and they've done a great job here. Now, going from there up to the front sight post gas block right here, they're combined on the shortened AK versions. There are a few issues I want to talk about, and this mostly comes down to QC. The Draco is about a $1,000 gun, and you're getting a really good gun for the price. However, QC can be a little bit hit or miss, and we're specifically talking about the size of the gas port. So often this can be a little bit off. So there can be times when you could add a suppressor and be completely okay, or add a suppressor and just be really running the gun far too hard. So a lot of people will choose to put in some type of like KNS adjustable gas piston, but depending on the size of the gas port, it actually might not always run that well. So there might need to be a little bit of gunsmithing that you do. On the particular model that we have here, we don't have any problems, and on other Dracos that we've had, we haven't had any problems, but I do want to note that this has certainly been an issue with certain people who've owned Draco, so we don't want to kind of gloss over the fact that there have been issues with the weapons. But for $1,000, I think it's a pretty good trade-off. Now, not to skip over everything, but I want to talk about another really crucial piece when it comes to the weapon itself, is that the trunnion is forged. It's not cast. This leads to a very good system. Again, a lot of the problems that you have with AKs did kind of come down to this cast parts, and especially when we talk about a good Eastern European manufacturer like Romania, where they've been doing this for a while, we have a very solid forging, and we have a very solid rifle because of that. So with that cold hammer forged barrel that's chrome lined along with the forged trunnion, we have a very strong, very well built AK overall, albeit with a few QC issues, but I would say the vast majority of Dracos that we've seen have been fairly well built, and it's kind of psychotic that you can buy such a good AK for such a kind of nominal price, but it is definitely among our favorites. I would say that it is somewhat eclipsed by, say, something like the ZPAP from Yugoslavia. But of course, the problem with those guys is that they are a little bit heavier. The receivers are heavier because they were made to fire rifle grenades. Because the Yugoslavians, they just fucking love rifle grenades on all their weapons. So that's a whole nother issue there when it comes to a typically built AK that's lightweight. I would say the Draco is definitely there. So with those things being said, let's continue to go down the gun and talk about what's good about it. So obviously we've talked about it before, but it makes a good note to talk about it again. Now on this particular rifle, we do have Zenitco parts. They are pretty excellent. They are a little bit harder to get at this point as they are made in Russia, but they are typically used by many Russian special forces for a couple good reasons. So right here on the bottom, we have the B10M for the lower handguard. The top, we have the B19 for the gas tube cover. So what makes these so good? So the Zenitco furniture is heavier than your typical AK furniture, but I often compare it to like the Block 2 furniture on an M4. So the Block 2 furniture and the Zenitco is both heavier, there's a lot more aluminum, but this actually leads to a couple good things. The aluminum acts as a heat sink, so it actually ends up pulling more heat off the barrel and allowing that heat to radiate off. So in tests with both the Block 2 and the Zenitco furniture, the guns will say noticeably cooler compared to the original handguards that they have on there. Now, by dissipating the heat, you actually increase the barrel life, you increase the life of the weapon overall, and you actually get a much more reliable weapon because of that heat dissipation. If there's something that's gonna kill a gun, it's that gun getting way too overheated. So that's one good thing about it. The second thing that's good about it is that these bottom rails right here are very sturdy, and they can hold zero when you have a laser device on there or on the top right there, or a light, or whatever you need to hold zero, typically an IR laser of some type. So that brings your AK more into the modern world. Perhaps the best part about it is it has a link in right here for this dust cover. This is the B33. This allows you to more easily mount an optic. So when I talk about something that's a potential problem with the Draco, it's that unlike a lot of the AKs out there, it does lack the side optic rail. So if you want to have an optic on your AK, you have to do one of the weird ways of putting it together. And the B33M, in my opinion, in addition to the Sure Shot, is probably the best method of doing so because it's very stable on the lower handguard right there, and it makes for a very good optics mounting platform. Your optic's not going to lose zero, and it does a great job. So when we have all this stuff on our Draco right here, we have a much more effective weapon. Certainly without it, we'd have a not nearly as cool and good to go weapon system. So that's what we have there. We also have the Zenitco Light and the Zenitco front grip right there. Those are all linked in through the pressure pad at the top right there on our Draco. So let's move back from there. So if you want to take a look right here, we talk QC. People say always train iron sights because iron sights never fail. Well, in this case, our iron sights have left us. They're gone. We don't know where they are. And that comes down to QC. This did fall off as we were shooting it, as we were going through the shooting portion today. So that is why we rely on optics a little bit more. But in any case, the sight radius on the Draco is definitely a little bit short. It's not something that I would want to rely on. And certainly it would be harder to make those shots that we were making today. So when it comes to the Draco, definitely get some type of optic on there. The Draco, being an AK, is obviously a long stroke gas piston system. Very, very reliable. I have absolutely no complaints when it comes to the system. It's obviously one of the most used weapons in the world, in addition to the M4, for a very good reason. They are very reliable, the recoil impulse is very nice, and they just tend to work no matter what. So when it comes to our bolt carrier, and our bolt right here, they're very well constructed from Romania. We have updated the safety with one of the Krebs enhanced safeties right here. So this is very nice because you can actuate it with your trigger finger right here, or you can still do the traditional method of sweeping it with your entire hand. But we prefer these. Another nice thing about these is when these weapons get really hot or when you want to put it in this condition, you can actually lock that bolt to the rear, which is pretty nice. So we have that right there. Another good thing that we can say about the Draco is going to be that the magazine cutout on this weapon is very good. I haven't had any issue with fitment of magazines when it comes to the Draco right here. Anything from your Yugoslavian to your Russian to anything, steel mags all work, all your polymer mags work. I have literally had zero issues. So been very happy with that. It used to be the case that this wasn't true and that you'd kind of have to find the mags that fit your particular AK. So it's always nice when you have an AK that just fits what it should, which is every AK mag. When it comes to our magazine release, very well made. I have no complaints there. And of course, we have our controls right here. Now we have added one of the US palm grips on this guy right here. And we have our typical trigger that comes with the Draco. So what we're gonna do is what we always do. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna ghost that trigger together. AK triggers are interesting because I would say out the gate, they were actually more, what's the word for it? I'd say they're a little bit more crisp than an M4 trigger out the gate. So we're gonna go ahead and feel that trigger right there, feel it with me. So we have a little bit of play into it. We have our roll on that, the typical AK roll as the sear releases, and we have that let off. Okay, let's go ahead and let's check that reset right there. So feeling that reset, letting it forward about 4 or 5 millimeters and off that reset, which is what you're gonna do when you're shooting, that roll off is maybe 3.5, maybe 4 pounds. I do know, I measured it. Feeling that reset one more time. Man, I do love AK triggers. Off the reset, it is a very quick shot. So that's something that I can certainly say when it comes to the Draco. Okay, now on the back, we do have a 1913 adapter that allows us to use any 1913 type stock. Obviously, we're gonna put a Zenitco PT1 on there because it's one of our favorite stocks to use with the AK. This is due to the fact that we have the cheek riser right here that puts us right on line, especially if you're a right-handed shooter. You can see it's slightly offset. It just makes your life a little bit easier when you're shooting an AK, and we love them. They're a little bit clunky, but they work. They are, of course, adjustable for length of pull. The other problem is that the butt pad comes off, no problem, so you do have to tape it into place. I've never had one stay in place, so make sure you zip tie that or duct tape it in some ways. So that brings us to the end of the Draco, AKA the Draco, the Curse AK. But I think in many ways, the Draco is a very misunderstood platform. It's been in a lot of popular media. It's been used by a lot of rap personalities, and it's been in different songs and movies and all that kind of stuff, but it is really a well-built AK. For a really good price. The Romanians know what they're doing when it comes to AKs. If you're new to the AK world, I would definitely say the Draco should be on your list of things to buy. There is a little bit that you need to do to upgrade these to kind of get these to the point that they need to be at. But that being said, we do like them quite a bit. Now, we'll be doing reviews on the mini and the full size at some point in the near future. But in any case, we do think that the 12-inch is one of the best models, just due to the fact of the performance, the accuracy, the recoil impulse, which is really nice. It should be noted how steady and how just soft it is to shoot this guy. It really is kind of the best of both worlds when it comes to a 7.62 AK in this particular barrel length. So with all that being said, this is a definite buy from us. Go out there, get one, shoot it, train with it. But the biggest thing is going to be training, guys. If you aren't training with these weapons, it's not going to matter. So get out there, get training. We appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for watching. And as always, go out there and shoot with friends, because maybe the real gun fighting we did along the way was the friends that we made along the way, ? All right, got nothing else for you guys. Okay, final thing for you guys. We got dad advice. What is your dad advice?
Kids are kind of like eggs. You can fuck them up, but you can't fix them. So take care.